Hello everyone. So for this stream, I'm planning on doing a quick um, piece on moving the camera from third person to first person. So if you remember, if you've ever played with the game SDK, you hit F1, you jump between first and third person. So that's what I'm going to shoot for today. Okay, so first of all, let me show you what I've currently done for my test project here, and that way you can get an idea of what we're going to do today. Okay, so let me just open this test here. Okay, so currently, the stuff that I've done is also I've adjusted the camera a little bit so that it sits a little bit more over the shoulder of the player, and this is just as a matter of personal preference. You can leave it as is before, where the player was dead center to the camera, but I wanted to, most of the third-person games have it a little bit offset, so it gives you a little bit bigger field of view, so to speak. Okay, so currently, you go into crouch mode. The camera follows. I've also done a bit of change on the camera position so that it actually goes a little lower once you go into crouch mode. Um, what I did do is when you hit F1, you'll notice that the camera goes into first-person view, and you see your character's body. If you crouch again, it just follows it, so that it is positioned a little lower. So the camera goes into things, it doesn't clip into things. Um, as you can see right now, the camera is placed a little bit too far in front. That could probably be mitigated if you tweak your collision proxy. But again, those are just small tweaks to be made. And so once you hit F1 again, you go into third person, F1, first person, and the rest happens. Okay, so let's get into it. This is gonna need a few steps. Of course, one of them is I don't know if you noticed, but my first person character is a little bit different than my third person character. By that I mean it's missing the head, because we don't want the camera to be clipping into the head part of the skin. So let's go ahead and import that, and I'm going to start off my Stream Examo project here. So while that is loading, I'm going to go into Blender, and in here let me just turn on my screencast keys so you see what buttons I'm hitting. So this is just that original pants guy. So if you look at the project here, and let's bring in, let's see, I don't have that open, so let's open up the character tool. And you need to, you see that there's nothing loaded in here, which it's probably a bug. You just need to click in this little space here and pop, there they go. Okay, so currently the one character that we have is this pants guy. The reason I have no lights is I didn't load a level. So you notice that the pants guy, has your regular setup character. This is the third person character because you have the head, you have the full body. So what we're gonna do is go into Blender here, and we're gonna just separate the head from this guy. So I'm gonna hit Tab to go in edit mode, and into wireframe mode, hitting B, I'm gonna select. I don't want to select all that, but I want to select the head. So if you hit L and you hover over the items you want to select, it's going to select that entire mesh. And I'm just going to separate this. So now make sure you have the skeleton and the skin. And I'm going to go ahead and export this as an FBX. Just make sure you have the selected objects. And this is going to be pants guy no head. So export FBX. Let's minimize this, and we'll go ahead and import that. Let's see what that did. that it gets saved. So I've exported it right here. Just drag it into your character tool, and it's going to create your character definition right here. Double click. You'll notice there's no materials added to this guy, but since it's identical to our regular pants guy, the only difference is that the head section is missing. I'm just going to need to assign the material here, and so I'm assigning the material of the guy with the head. There it is. And the one other step you need to make is to specify where the animations are loaded from. So you just go to the pants guy, no head, CHR parameters. You'll notice that currently it's in objects, character, Mixamo, because that's where the FBX is originating from. But we want to make it so that it's just like pants guy, which is an animations Mixamo. So let's select that one, and let's see, where's that? Animations, Mixamo, select. And you'll notice that the animations are loaded here, so this guy is using the same as this guy. So I'm just double clicking to open these. So let's go ahead and save stuff. Sometimes you need to double click it, which that's not very intuitive because this is kind of a one-click type thing, but by the way it looks. Alright, so, and also save this, the CHR parameters. And you can also create a new animation events file. I'm probably going to skip that for now, but actually let's go ahead and do it because just keep it consistent. For that, I'm just going to look at pants guy and see where did I create that. It's in Mixamo. So let's do the same for this one. And let's create it in here. Pants, and this is no head. And create. Okay, so with that being said, that's pretty much going to be it for now as far as the engine side goes. So let's go ahead and jump into Visual Studio. So let's open up Visual Studio. We'll go here, Stream Mixamo, Solutions, and game.sln. Okay, so there's a few things we need to take care of. And I'm just going to open these files up first. We're going to have the player and the player.h. We need to have a way, we need to have a flag so that we know if we're in first person view or third person view, so that way we switch to the other views. Alright, so that's one of them. The other one is going to be the input. We want to have a key that when we hit that key, we know that, okay, this key has been hit, so let's go ahead and see what state we're in and switch to the other state. Okay, so first of all, let's go ahead and add that key. So in order to do that, let's go to our Stream Mixamo, and we have, let's see, where is that in usually? Let's see, it's in Assets, Libs, and we have config. And this here you have default profile.xml. So let's go ahead and edit this. And I've already done this, so I'm just going to copy and paste my action name. It's going to take a little bit to write it, but it's basically going to be the action name. Everything else can be kept the same, though I think you might be able to do it more in the way that space is done, because space only triggers once. So let's copy this, and I'm going to put it right here. Okay, so we have the action name, this is important, and the keyboard key, and there we go. Alright, so once we have that in, let's go ahead and add this little flag right in here. Okay, so we're going to call this is E, and input, sorry, flag underscore, and call this FPS to TPS, third person, so first person shooter to third person shooter, I guess. Okay, so this is going to be 6, kind of just following the path of the other ones. Okay, so once I have that in, let's add our function here, and I think I placed it right under move back. So I'm going to copy this line and add this new action in. And this is, let's see, and action FPS to TPS. Okay, so we'll have the little light bulb, create definition, and we can save this here. And I'll go ahead and close this. I normally have the C++ files on the right and the headers on the left. And let's see, where did I get created? It should be somewhere down here. Okay, one thing it's important, don't forget, is to add that to the action handler. So let's go ahead and I'll just copy again the move back. And in this bit, this is going to be our action name from the action map, and that's FPS to TPS. And of course we have the function, which is on action FPS to TPS. There we go. Okay, so now we have the action in place. It's not going to do much because there's nothing happening here. So in order to get something happening there, let's create those states I mentioned. So let's go to, I created these in player because the player is accessible by all these other components. So they're like the player input, and just to mention, this is in Cryengine 5.3. 5.4 is not in a stable release yet, so I'm not going to bother with it just yet, though I doubt the changes are going to be any major as far as, you know, adding items to the player. Whenever it comes to creating components and stuff, that's probably going to be a little bit different, but we're just, you know, adding functionality and not creating anything new. Alright, so you remember that we had this enum with the player states. This is going to be pretty similar to this, so it's going to be another enum, and we're going to call this e player view state. And we'll go ahead and kind of continue on with the naming. So it's going to be on e let's see, p lowercase e pws, so player view state underscore. So let's call this FPS, first person shooter, and e player view state and third person shooter. Okay, so now we have that. The other thing we need to consider is the fact that we want to change our character based on if it's third person or first person. So this is the E geometry slots. Pretty much this is just a helper enum to specify what slot the character geometry gets loaded into. So we'll add to this an E geometry underscore first person and set that equal to 0 as well. Okay, so now that we have that in place, the other thing we need to add is, as you can see, there's an ICVAR. This is just for the third person geometry. We want to make one for the first person geometry as well. So let's create that. And it's going to be a pointer. So we'll call this m underscore p. Let's see, we want to make it first person geometry. Okay, so we have that in place. Pretty much the rest of these are going to be using the same path, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's see. I think that might be it for this section. We just want to create a variable that holds the current player view state. So it's going to be an E player view state, and let's call this m underscore view state. Alrighty, so that's the player, and now we can have we can access this via our player input. But let's actually set it to something. So in the player.cpp, let's see, where do we want to place this? We might want to place it in post-init, because we had the post-init for our crouch versus standing state to set the state in an initial state. So let's set it right here, and we have m underscore view state equals e player view state, and let's make it, this is going to start off as a third-person shooter. Of course, you can set it to first person. Okay, so once that is set, let's see. This is also the place that we're going to create the function, or maybe update the function to switch between or set the player model for our first versus second person shooter. I mean third person shooter. Sorry, that's if that's such a thing, second person shooter. I'd be interested in knowing, but you never know nowadays. Okay, so you'll notice that if you scroll down in the player.cpp, there's a function called setPlayerModel. So currently this is using the eGeometry third person slot, which is 0, and we could have used the same one for our needs, but I just wanted to make it so that it's a little bit easier to understand, I would say. So what I did is I've updated this function to third person. So this is going to be, because this is how we start off with the third player model. Let's call it that. And there is somewhere else that I need to change this. I need to change it in the player, and it's going to be right here. And of course, where this one gets called, and I believe it's in set health. So let's place it there as well. Okay, no more errors. Okay, so let's copy this and create the one for the first person. One thing that we need to do is actually set these. We're going to have to set these to public, or at least these two. So we're going to move them down here. Or maybe just move them up here, actually. That might be a little better. Okay, so this is going to be set first person player model. I mean, on the other hand, this could also help if you have something wildly different from between the two. So for example, maybe the player transforms into something else, and this might help with that as well. Okay, so this is going to be first player model. One thing that we need to do is, whenever we load this, we need to free the slot and unphysicalize that, just so that if you have different physics, because these guys are going to have different physics to begin with, so we need to take care of that. So let's go ahead and this is going to be get entity so we're going to have to free the slot, and this is going to be slot 0, and then as well as unphysicalizing the slot. I'm not entirely sure if we need to unphysicalize this, but at least for now, I haven't done too much work with this, so I'm gonna go ahead and unphysicalize it. Unphysicalize slot and 0. So I'm gonna copy the same thing and place it into the first player model. And we can use this here to kind of call it out with the first person. And in here we want to get the CVARs for the first person geometry and not the third. So first, just hit Control Space. It's going to do the autofill. Okay, and we can probably for now leave the state as standing for both of these guys. Though I might want to remove this just because I think it might. If you're in a crouch mode in third person and you switch to first person view, if this is here, it might get the character to stand. So let's comment this out for now. Okay, so we have the first person model and setting the third person model. So let's move these from protected into public. That way other classes can access these, namely the player input. Alright, so with that said, let's go ahead into player input.cpp and add the functionality to our on action FPS to TPS, our actual change from first to third person. So let's go ahead and create a quick if statement. So in our case, as you noticed, we have all these action modes. If it's pressed or if it's released, then do something. So in our case, we want to know if it's pressed. So let's go ahead and copy this and paste it. I'm thinking it might actually work a little better. Let me look at something real quick. Alright, so we'll leave it as pressed for now. So if this is pressed and the player's current view state, so m_p player, arrow, m_view state, so if the view state equals to, so this is going to be where our enum comes in. So if this is third person view, so TPS, and that button is hit, then we want to switch over to the first person state and set the player model to first person player, the one without the head. Okay, so then we want to set, actually we can just copy this from here, make it a little quicker. So we want to set the viewer state to first person. And after that, we set the MP. So, and then we set this to set first player model. And else, if the activation mode is pressed and the player state is first person, then we set the player to third, and we're going to set the third player model. Okay, and last thing that we need to do is handle this input flag change. I'm not entirely sure if it's definitely needed, but let's go ahead and be consistent with these. Okay, so this is going to be the E input flag, and this is going to be the first person to TPS. Alright, and they have all of them as return true, so we're going to return true as well. Okay, now one thing that we need to do as well is, if you recall, we're loading this character based on some CVARs, but for now we don't have those in here, so we need to register that as well. With 5.4, this might change slightly, though I kind of doubt it. We'll see when that comes out. Okay. So in order to do that, let's go ahead and you remember we created that ICVAR parameter and not parameter but variable. So let's add that in as well. So this is going to be we have the third person, and we can actually just copy this. So this is going to be the first person geometry, because this is actually where we specify where our thing lives at. So I believe what did we name our character? So let's take a quick peek at that. It is Pants Guy No Head. So I'm just going to copy this. Sometimes I make some spelling mistakes. And we'll paste it right in here. And we'll specify, set the first person geometry to load, and then the third person geometry to load. Okay, so let's go ahead and give this a quick test just to make sure that we're loading the characters and there's no other issues. Hopefully there isn't anything that I've missed. And let's see how things go. Alright, so let's go ahead and build. Oh, okay, yeah. 1 second. Yeah, thank you for that. Thank you, Oscar. There we go. Alright, so let's try and build this. Why is this being... Oh, yeah, I guess it was with a capital F. There we go. Let's try building this and see what happens. Let's open one of the levels. Okay, so there we go. We have our character being changed. So the only thing that we need to do. So right now I'm just hitting F1. So the only thing that we need to do is actually tweak the view. So whenever you hit F1, whenever you're into first-person view, the camera is sitting right on top of the character's shoulders, so to speak. Okay, so let's close out of this, and let's open up player view, and that is in view. So I'm not sure. I don't think we need the header for anything, but let's just have it open. Okay, so let's move this to the side here. Okay, so if you remember from last time, we were playing around with some camera collisions and a little bit of interpolation. So what we're going to have to do is... Yes, exactly. That's. I'm planning on doing the change position according to the state. Because I'm thinking if I attach it to the bone, first of all, I wasn't able to figure it out how to attach it to bone. But the other issue that I was thinking it might come up is that if I attach it to a bone, then it's whenever the player moves and that bone moves, it's gonna just do that. I mean, it's more realistic, so to speak, but I think it's gonna be a little dizzying to people you know, it moves with the player like that. It might give more immersion, that's true, but like I said, I haven't looked into it and don't really know how to do it just yet. Okay, so the state it is for now. First of all, what I'm going to do is right in here is I'm thinking that right here what we're going to do is okay, yeah, so Oscar mentioned that you can attach the head or a bone parented to root, so then it's not changing, which is a great idea. Thank you, Oscar. Alright, so let's for now let's keep it on the beginner side of things, so we're just gonna go based on the state of the view. So if m view state m underscore view state, if this is equal to e, and this is going to be actually sorry e player view state, and if we're going to have this as a third person, then all of this is going to work like so. So let me just indent this probably up to here, and let's add our curly braces here to here. And so this is third person view, and of course there's going to be an else. So else we do the simple setup, so or the first person setup. So in this case we'll need this bit right up here, place it down here because we're not going to offset it. So so that's that, and we're just going to do let's one thing that the first time I did this that I didn't consider was that the player would go into crouch mode, right? So let's quickly add that because it's going to be pretty simple. We'll add it for both third and first person. So let's start with third. So that way, whenever the player goes into crouch mode, the camera lowers a little bit. Okay, so couple of things, and I'm just looking at my cheat sheet just to get the measurements that I thought worked okay. So this is going to be for third person. First one is going to be the offset towards the back of the player. So this was a little bit too far back, I would say. Actually, not this one, but this one. This is where the camera is. I've placed this, so I'm going to make this 0.2. I'm going to make this negative 0.5, 0.5. So this brings in the camera closer to the player. Okay, and also these guys right here, they're going to matter as far as if the player is crouched or not. So I'm going to paste this down here because we're going to have an if statement here. So let's start off with if and player, and this is going to be its state, and m underscore state. So if it's the player state equals to e player state, and this is crouching moving, so while it's in a crouch and moving state, we're just gonna make some tweaks to the camera position. And else is going to be any other states. Of course, you can probably get a little bit more specific here. We're just going to do the same thing, and we'll tweak these values. One thing that I forgot and might be a little bit cleaner to do is this one here might be a little bit easier to make it clear view state like that. just so it's a little bit, better looking, I would say. Okay, so if it's in crouching mode, we want this to only go up by 1.5 meters. So at least these are some values I've played around with, and they seem to work for me kind of okay. And so this is the origin, because this is also considering the work we've done previously with the camera collisions. So the destination is going to be 1.5 F as well for the ground height. And this is also where I've done the little offset, the camera offset from, so the player is not dead center on the camera. So to do that is destination and plus equals, as this is a quaternion, I believe, or a vector actually, sorry. We're going to have to use a little bit of magic like this, we're doing here, we're getting the column 1. So column 1, from what I can tell, is the kind of the y axis. I'm not very good at explaining quaternions, but if we're using this and then we're getting the column 0, this is going to be the x. So if we multiply this times how much the offset we want it to be, then the camera is going to be offset by that much. So if we want it offset by, let's do 0.4, so 0.4 meters, it's going to get offset to the right by that much. Okay, so we have this if it's crouching moving, and let's we're going to keep this the same, and let's move this as well into here. So this is going to be when it's standing. Okay, and let's do the same thing for our first person. So in this case, I think we can pretty much use the same if statement here. So, but for this one, we're not going to worry about the destination being where the camera is for the third person. This is just going to be the origin, because that's where our camera is. So, if that, we're going to do origin plus equals, and we're just going to do our this is something I played with last night, and this is going to be our entity. Dot get world rotation and dot get column 1. So this is I've played around with the offset of the camera so that, because even when now it's also going to depend on your field of view, but even when you're on first person, if you rotate the camera in a certain way, you can still see a little bit of the skin's neck, so the player's neck, the one without the head. Okay, so let's multiply this by 0.4 F and do the vertical offset dot C plus equals 1.4 F. Okay, so this is in crouching, and let's take care of the other states as well. And I'm just going to copy this from here. And I've found out that, at least for my character, 1.8 works pretty well, and 0.1 works pretty well as well. Okay, so at the end of this, we want, because as you notice here, the view parameter's final position is called final position. So let's, right at the bottom of this, we'll say final position equals origin. Okay, so let's go ahead and compile this and see what we get. Hopefully we'll get some camera movement, and hopefully we get some good placement on that. Let's open our level and jump to game mode. You'll see that this is what that moving of the our repositioning for the offset, so that the camera is a little closer to the player, and also offset a little bit. Has worked pretty well. Alright, so let's jump into first person, and as you can see, this is what I meant by when you look down, you kind of see down his shirt. So it's entirely, again, it's up to you. You'll notice that there's our player. How you want the offset to be. I'm guessing the offset for the crouch mode is pretty good. The offset, especially when walking, for standing, is not its best. Okay, so pressing F1, you jump into third person, and you can, if you remember from last time we did this, there was an interpolation happening, so you can see like the camera falls a little bit behind, and we can tweak that a little bit by setting this the speed here. So let's, instead of 5, maybe make this 10. You don't have to use interpolation. I haven't really noticed any performance drop, but if you do, then don't use it. Okay, so let's jump back into Stream Examo, and we'll see if the camera falls back. Hopefully it shouldn't fall back that much. Alright, so that's a little bit better, I would say. And you can probably, I think I might have offsetted my player a little bit too much from the center, so so maybe let's give this guy, let's see, maybe we'll do a 0.3. Let's try 0.3 for this and see how big the offset is for that one. I'm actually thinking, I think that should be a little, I mean, it's going to be better, but we'll see how it looks. Okay, so that's a little bit better. I think it's a little closer to the center. It looks pretty good in crouch mode. He's got an awesome beard, by the way it looks. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this week's stream. Hopefully you guys got something out of it, and I know I got some some good ideas to use in my project after doing this try. So thanks again for stopping by, and until next time, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you soon. Take care, everyone.